Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for coming today. Uh, I always wait a few seconds before the live starts because it does this like circle loading thing, and I'm not sure if it's okay, but yes, thank you so much for coming. Um, First of all, I just wanted to say this past week, there's been a lot of like close calls with people I've known that like they could avoid a crisis or a really bad situation. So I just wanted to say like I'm very thankful to Kami-sama for helping those people um, through these like hard situations and emergencies. So I'm very thankful that everything was okay with them. So I wanted to express that. And oh, hello, Raisan. Thank you for coming. Yes, hello. So today is a little bit of a shorter live stream because afterwards we're going to do the last monthly ceremony of February. So if you're able to join us later, it would be really great. But if not, please don't worry. Yes. Um, and for today's topic, I wanted to talk about like the role of kind of fun events and the role of like having fun in like in Shinto environment and in faith in Kami-sama. I know a lot of people see like religion as more of a solemn and serious thing. When we go to a church or a shrine, we should generally be more solemn and serious. But in Shinto, at least, it's important to have fun and do events as well. Oh, let me read Avery Sun's comment. So I'm able to join. Like I said on Discord, I don't have any plans besides my girlfriend coming over this evening for game night. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, and so fitting too. Speaking of game night, because this is interesting because I was thinking about it. So recently, actually yesterday, we had a private ceremony later on in the evening, and I was one of my other friends asked me to come down. They own a Warhammer shop, like Warhammer 40K. So they own a shop down here in Yokosuka. They're manager of the shop, and they asked me if I could come down and pick up some stuff. And I was like, okay, but I have the ceremony, so I might be a little bit, I might take some time. So please be patient. And what was interesting is that um, I was supposed to go earlier, but I had to stay behind just because of the way like the work here was getting sorted out, and so I decided to use the time to like set up the altar and like do some other stuff. And because I stayed at the shrine. Um, uh, these guys, these like tourists from Spain, they had come to the shrine just suddenly because they were looking on Google Maps for like Goshuin, like the shrine seals that like show you visited a shrine. So they were looking for shrines in the area that had Goshuin, and of course our shrine is one. So they came in and they're like, "Hello, do you have like the Goshuin?" And they were being really friendly, and I was like, "Oh yes," and I was helping them out, and it was a really nice experience, and they were super super kind. So I'm really grateful to them as well. And I gave one person my email, so hopefully we can keep in touch and maybe they can learn more. But if not, it's okay too. But the reason why I'm explaining this story is that um, so after they left, I was like, okay, now's my chance to go see my friend and pick up the stuff at the shop. So I go out, I dress up in my coat and stuff, and I go out. And as soon as I get to the shop, I see the same three guys there in the Warhammer shop, and I was so shocked that I dropped my phone, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you guys are here too. And I was like, hello again, and we're all surprised. And it's funny because my friend, of course, like they also practice Shinto. They're not Konko Faith, but like we connect because we both practice Shinto. Hi Tifa-san. And it's funny because they were wearing their Magatama necklace too. And so like there's like all of us there, and there's the three people who visited the shrine earlier, and then there's my friend, and then there's me. And I was so shocked. I was like, whoa. And I couldn't help but feel like maybe it's like Goen, which I'll write down the kanji. Like it's like a thing, like a concept or like a thing we talk about in like the Shinto world, which means like a good connection or like kami-sama's arranged connection. Like, it's not like it can mean romantic, but it can mean like any kind of connection. Like, usually positive ones. So like meeting a new friend or like a new teacher, things like that. So it was really good. And I was like so shocked. I thought it was kami-sama's going. And but it was normal. Like we didn't talk too much after that. But and my friend gave me the stuff I came to pick up, and we had a talk, and it was fun. But on the way back to the shrine to prepare for the ceremony more, uh, oh wait, sorry. After I saw something in the chat. Oh, sorry, I'm just checking. Oh, okay, I think okay, there was a disconnection for a second. Sorry. So after I got back to the shrine, I was talking about it and thinking like it would be so cool if we could do a sort of like, I don't know, game night here in the shrine or like a game day. So like for example, like maybe play like Magic the Gathering or play Warhammer in the shrine. And that might sound like silly or weird, but actually like I was talking about with Matsufumi Sensei, and like actually it's kind of traditional in a way too, because of course like Matsuri, like big festivals, are a really like key component of the Shinto world and Shinto festivals. Hi Vinny-san, welcome. And yeah, like so we were talking with Masumi Sensei, and like he was saying like how like it's a part of like tradition to have fun with kamisama as well. Yes, I'm glad. And yeah, like for example, like in the Matsuri, right? Like it's not just the mikoshi, like bringing Kami-san around, but there's also like a lot of mini games at the booths, and different foods and snacks, and like they have the like game where you try to shoot down like a little figure to win a doll or something. But basically, it's very like fun and festive, and like people like maybe they don't even like have like faith, like spiritual belief in Kami-sama, but they still come to celebrate and have fun. And I think that's like a big part, because it's not just like about having fun per se, but it's about like building up a community and connecting with the people around us. So again, it's like the concept of goen, where we make connections with other people through kamisama support. So I kind of felt like that day was kind of like like kamisama reminding like it's good to go out and have fun and make connections and try to be more social with others through common hobbies. Now the thing is, I actually I don't play Warhammer, but a lot of my friends are into it, and I'm really interested in like the lore, and like I tried to read some of the novels and I really like them, and like I like the concept of like painting the figures, and it's super cool. But like I just haven't like had the time to get into it. But I do play like recently I've been playing Magic the Gathering a lot, and it's super fun. And so I go out with like once a week in the evening and see my friends, and we play some games, and it's really fun. And I think it's good to have that like connection with others through a hobby, especially to meet in person, because especially nowadays so much is online, and it's so hard to like find time to meet up and talk to friends in person. So I think it's like a really good opportunity to connect with others. And I guess like Tifa-san says like I love the lore of Warhammer thing, and Avery-san says I want to learn how to play Warhammer. Yeah, me too. I have to ask my friends to like introduce me more to it, but I think it'll be fun. And yeah, so I was like, oh, it'd be nice if like in the future sometime, like maybe we could do like, a hobby day, like whether it's Magic or Warhammer, and then like I think having it in the shrine, like at least here in the Konko Faith, we can come into the worship hall and like just relax here. And I think it'd be nice if people could like feel kamisama here, and then also like have a nice time to connect with people, make new friends, be social. And I think it really helps people not just to connect to kamisama, but to connect to each other and sort of get out of like any possible like internet like echo chambers or like doom scrolling, because like I know like I get into the doom scrolling and all this stuff. So I think it's like a positive all around to like have people come in person and connect. So it's kind of like a modern, not a modern version of Matsuri, because Matsuri of course still exists, but I mean like another another event, kind of like a Matsuri, that helps bring people together and bring joy and connection and things like that. Um, it's interesting because like I have played games like here in the worship hall sometimes as well. Like of course not when anyone's like worshiping, but like during the quiet times or like at nighttime. For example, like um, one of our trainees would come here and we played Magic Gathering. Like after we did all the work and it was nighttime and the shrine was like closing and getting quieter, we played some games of Magic and it was really fun. And it was nice to play in the worship hall because it was kind of like giving like a like, because you know what I mean. So sometimes people split like religion and then their daily life and then their hobbies, right? And that is good in some respects, but it can also be a little bit detrimental. And what I mean by that is that like if you like confine your religious or spiritual practice to like one side of your life only, and then you have like the work side of your life and then you have the hobby side of your life, I think that's like normal, especially with religion, but it can also make you feel a little bit more distant from like kami-sama or the divine. So it's like, like I only will feel kami-sama when I go to the shrine, or like I only feel them when I go to worship, or like when I pray, but not like in everyday life. On this is I think this is true for like almost like many other religions as well, because most people only kind of think about their religious or spiritual practice like in certain situations. So like if they're going to the public worship space or at their home altar or in like specific times, or even if they decide to go take a walk in the forest to feel the divine. But again, it's like a specific like moment, and I think those are good and important. But I think it's also good and important to kind of like feel the divine in your daily life as well, and especially in your hobbies and things you enjoy. And I know it can be a little bit difficult because like sometimes like hobby things are kind of like more, I don't know how to say it, like casual, and like there's a lot of banter and like things like that and like excitement. And of course like religious spiritual side is more solemn and serious, but that doesn't mean that like it's always solemn and serious, especially not in the context of kami-sama, because kami-sama is supposed to be with us in our life through everything, through the bad things and the painful things and the difficult things, to the things we're grateful for and want to express thankfulness that we are able to receive the blessings. But also it should be in our fun times as well, like times we're laughing, being silly, having fun. I think kami-sama should be with us in all areas of our life. So, when you kind of like bring kami-sama to even your hobbies or like your fun stuff, I think that is also developing your like faith and connection with kami-sama. And I think it's important as well. So I was kind of thinking about that like from yesterday, and I wanted to share it with you guys here today, because I think that it's just like common for us to only think about like ritual is serious and solemn and to show respect to kami-sama. But in especially in Shinto context and Kongo Faith context, it's also really important to have fun with kami-sama too, to feel close to kami-sama in things you enjoy as well. I know another example. I think it's Honolulu Kyokai, Honolulu Church in Hawaii, but they do like a gunpla, like Gundam building workshop as well. And every so often, I'm not sure, but yeah, I think that's really cool too. Like everyone comes, and it's not in the worship hall because they actually have a like a big hall, like lots of space. So everyone usually gathers there to paint. I mean, that makes sense too, because painting might be a little dangerous on like the tatami. But yeah, like I think that's really fun, and it brings again like brings people together through a shared hobby, and brings a lot of positivity, and shows that like you don't have to go to the worship space just for worship. Like you can go to like do activities and hobbies and matsuri festivals, and other community events. For example, like mochizuki, like mochi making, is another kind of like public holiday festival. It's not really religious in nature, but it's like kind of fun too. So like that's another kind of example. A little, but it's more like traditional example, but it's the same concept of like coming together to have fun with everybody and like have a nice time, and just you go home, you're feeling happy and fulfilled, and like you feel connected with other people. So I think that's really important. Okay, let me read the comments. Sorry. So Avery Sen says, I usually play Uno or Eels and Escalators board game from SpongeBob. Yes, it's a real board game now. Oh, that's cute. Yes. I also want to try What Do You Mean? Oh, I never heard of What Do You Mean, but I have to look it up later. It sounds fun. But yeah, it's good to play those board games, especially now. Like so much is online. And don't get me wrong, I love online games, and I'm usually connecting to my friends through online games. But really, honestly, sometimes nothing beats like an in-person game, and like seeing people face to face and talking. It's different, and it's important too, I think. Um, okay, let's see. And I'll read your comment in a second. But Avery Sen says, I'm always inviting Kami-sama in everything I do throughout the day. Well, that's good. I'm glad. So that's really good to do. But thank you, Avery Sen. Okay, so I read Redeem-san's comment. So Olivia Sensei, I was curious. Since Yokosuka is close to the sea, do many people come to Kyokai to pray for things related to it, fish catches, safety at sea, etc.? So that's a good question. It might have been the case, like, in the past, um, especially like before the before the American naval base came in Yokosuka, or even like the Japanese naval base. I want to say that people did pray for good fishing and safety at sea, and I think it's also related. I remember reading somewhere that like the Ujigami Shrine, the local Yokosuka town's like downtown Yokosuka's Ujigami-sama, the like kami-sama of this area, is Suga Jinja. And I remember reading somewhere that sailors did pray at the Suga Jinja like 500 years ago. So I'm going to think that before the bases came, that people came here to pray for good catch and sail, it's like sailing in the sea and catching fish. And this is especially true because when you go down south a little bit in the Miura Peninsula, um, there's a lot of like tuna fishing, like maguro. There's like a huge, like famous thing about fishing for maguro down there. So I'm gonna like I think my educated guess is that yes, like people might have come here to pray for like good fishing of like maguro or other fish, tuna. But after when the naval bases came here, so first it was the Japanese Navy base. I do know that there was a lot of like I remember seeing in the museum here, like the local museum, that there was a lot of connection with the Navy and our kyokai, our shrine. So I remember that seeing that in the museum. So they might have been praying for things related to that, to like the Navy activities um, down here at the base. And then after as well, like when the American base came as well. I don't remember the exact time. Sorry, I'm a bad Yokosuka citizen. But even like I don't know if the American base people were allowed to come here. Maybe they were. I don't know. But in that case too, like there was a lot of prayers related to Navy activities, to war, to like nautical prayers. You know what I mean, if that makes sense. Like not fishing, but like safety at sea in the terms of like the Navy and those related activities. And if I remember correctly, actually, like our taiko drum, like the big taiko we have, we don't really use it right now. We need to find a taiko player. But I believe I remember hearing that was donated from someone like in the Navy in gratitude for blessings related to Navy troubles and prayers and things like that. So I remember like hearing these stories in passing and things like that. But I should ask more about it more carefully. But it's because like after like World War II, a lot of the people here, like the parishioners, most of them were just praying for like daily life things, like good health, studies in school, things like that. So before World War II, it was very like this was like a Navy town, really, really like heavy, like the the energy of this town was like really focused on like Navy, Army, military stuff, and it still kind of is like that, but it's like more like secularized, I guess, like not as heavy on it. But like back then, it was really like this town was like basically like the Navy town. So that's kind of like the vibe, and it still is basically, but a little more like secularized, I guess. So yeah, so that's kind of like where our shrine, our kyokai, kind of connected with a lot with the local community here. And if I remember correctly, there was also a ceremony done at the cemetery where people who passed away in the Russio Japanese War, I believe our kyokai also did a ceremony for them. And I feel like I saw the pictures recently. But let me get back to you on that. Like I want to confirm before like saying this has happened because I'm not entirely like sure, because basically why I'm not sure is because like I hear stories in passing and I'm like, oh, like I see, and like and it's like not appropriate to ask like more things right at that moment. So I just try to like absorb the stuff I hear and like what I read about the Kyokai's history. And there hasn't really been a situation where anyone really asked about it. But that is a good question, and I do want to find out more. I know a lot about like the like post World War II history, especially because a lot of the parishioners now are like either they were from that time or their descendants and their family members come to the Kyokai shrine now. But a lot of people from like before World War II ended, I don't know their families or descendants as much, unfortunately. I think because they moved out of Yokosuka after the war, so I'm not really sure about their histories. But I see their Mitama no Kami-sama's names and their ancestors, and I always wonder about them. Like, what was their story? What was their history? Especially when I see like a lot of the same family name like coming up, and I'm like, but who is this family? Because I don't see them like now in the Kyokai. But as far as I understand it, like after the war, they kind of like the military personnel was like, less people, so they moved elsewhere, like either Tokyo or other areas. So at least that's as far as I understand it. But yes, so it's a very interesting history. And what else was I gonna say? I guess um Hmm. There's some more things I wanted to say, but I can't remember now. Like, shoot, it went out of my head. But I think for the next live, I'll ask Masafumi Sensei more if he knows more, and I'll talk about the history here some more. But it's a really interesting history, and in the cemetery we have like the past shrine members' ashes and the Kimoto family's ashes. I do. We walk by that grave site all the time when we go up, where all the fallen soldiers from the Russio Japan War. There's like all these like small headstones. Well, they're not like this, big, but they're like this big, um, and they're just like a rectangle. There's no name on them that I can see, and they look very worn. Um, but we always bow before we pass by, and we do like haksha and pray, and it's like a really important part of this history, like Yokosuka's history, especially because like Yokosuka is where the Mikasa ship, the battleship, that which fought in that war, it's docked here in the city. So like it's like a tourist attraction now, but it's a very big part of this Yokosuka city's history, and there was a lot of connection to that era and this kyokai. So yeah, but I definitely need to research more to say with more confidence, because I worry that if I say like things now and not confident and then I make mistakes, I don't want to do that. So yes, but thank you so much for asking. And if you're curious, like because I know that we talked sometime about like Kompira sama, and Kompira sama is mostly the kami-sama of like fishermen and sea. But interestingly, there's not really a lot of there's not really a lot of Kompira shrines around here, which is interesting. It's mostly the Suwa shrine and related to the military era. There's a lot of shrines to like Amaterasu Omikami-sama because of like the imperial connection, and of course like the navy was like the imperial navy. So there's a lot of shrines to Amaterasu Omikami-sama, and then the Suwa shrine from like that's the earliest one from like 500 years ago, and there was our shrine, and I think yes, that's mostly, and of course like an Inari shrine. Um, there's one Inari shrine, and I think that's about it. Like in this area, there's not too many. Interestingly, I'm not really sure why, but yeah, it's interesting. And just a little bit outside of here, there's also Kasuga Shrine, but again, not related to like ocean or anything. And I think yeah, that's pretty much like I'm trying to think of all the areas. And there's other shrines around this like peninsula, like the Miura Peninsula, but they have their own histories and stories. Like it's not really related to like the community as much, but like they have their own like lore and stories. Like for example, like the biggest one being like Tsurugaoka Hachimangu, that was related to like the Kamakura era. So there's like more historical shrines, but in Yokosuka City downtown, you can see like a lot of the Navy history is connected in that way. So yes, thank you so much. But thank you for asking. It's a really good question. Okay, sorry, let me read the comments. So, Avery-san says, "Oh, sorry. What do you mean is a pretty popular card game? You need at least 2 or more people to play, and the goal of the game is to create humorous memes in real life." Oh, thank you for sharing. That sounds funny. It reminds me of like another game. I forgot the name. It's like super old. What is it like? There's a lot of there was some similar games back when I was like in university. So it sounds fun. Okay, so Erison also says, if you have a photo of an ancestor in your home, can you bow and say a small prayer to them since they're Mitama no Kami? Ah, yes. So like even if your ancestor wasn't particularly like Shinto or like Konko Faith or like another like Japanese faith, um, so you're gonna like there will be mixed answers, but in my opinion, I think it's okay to like bow to them and say a prayer and pray towards them. I think that I think that's okay. And I know some people are like, well, you shouldn't like worship them in the Japanese style or like the Shinto style or the Konko style if they weren't like part of that in life. And I do understand that. But I think there's like a difference between like people you knew who passed away, like you knew them in your lifetime, or like they're very close, like a grandparent or great grandparent, and like the connection is quite close. I think there's a difference between that kind of connection and then like the really old ancestors like from however long ago, like the ancestral like collective that are connected to you. So I feel like for the second like all the ancestors, I feel like because it's there's like countless ancestors, and we don't know all of their religions, and it would be impossible to like pray for all of them in their religious practice. I think it's okay to like do the tradition that works best for you, and then respect them through that way because that's your religion now. But if you knew them in their life, I think it's better to just kind of neutrally pray and give like a neutral prayer to them. So, for example, like for my like ancestral big ancestors, I have like the Konko Faith Mitama no Kami little altar for them, and I pray to them in the Konko Faith style. But like for my mom who passed away, I just like say a prayer to her, and because she was Catholic, so I just like say a prayer and say, you know, thank you, mom. I hope you're doing good, and offer like a snack she liked in life, and just hope she's okay, and pray for her guidance. But I don't do like I don't say like Reizen Haishi or Sosen Sanji. I don't think my mom would mind personally, but like if she was like my grandma, for example, maybe she'd be a bit like I don't know these, like I don't understand. But I think even if you did that, I think they would understand your heart behind it and your sincerity and how you want to show respect to them and honor them. So I think that there's also that nuance where it's like it's not as um like it's not like really disrespectful per se, because you knew them and they're close to you and you want to show them love and respect even after their passing. It's not like they're like a deity or something, like as in like a big nature deity connected to a specific land and culture over thousands of years. Like they're your family, right? So there's that connection you have, and it's closer nuance. I think that's why, honestly, like I'll show you. So like typically speaking, like um the Mitama altar is like this. Wait, I'll draw a picture. It's so crusty though, I'm sorry. So the Mitama altar is like this. It's like a square style. And why is it like this? Because if you look like at this altar, it's kind of like it's also the square, right? Like it's a square, you know. So what I'm trying to say is that this is representing like the inside of like a worship hall, like as if you're closer, like you're inside the worship hall. Whereas, like for example, another kind of kamidana is like the typical one with like the chigi, and it's like looks like it's a shrine on the outside. Like sorry, it's really bad. Like this type, and it's like you see the stairs and like the roof like this, and there's the chigi, and this is like a shrine on the outside. Like seeing it. Usually when you go to a jinja, you go and you pray, and then you go back. So it's kind of showing like a little bit more of a like respectful distance. So for ancestral spirits, divine ancestral spirits, Mitama no Kami-sama, it's like the closer, like inside, like as if you're inside the worship hall. So you're like closer to them, and I also I should have drawn this opposite, but this kamidana for like most other kami-sama is like on the outside because you're showing like a respectful distance. But like don't worry too much about it. Like it's you don't have to like it doesn't mean you're not close if you have if you worship ancestors in this style. That's not what I'm saying. Just like the intention behind the different styles is that intention. But in practice, like it doesn't really matter that much. Like it's just a different of like the intentional style. So but officially speaking, like how you're supposed to set it up, like so in Konko Faith, oh sorry, I'll show you. I'm like using this notepad. I gotta buy a new one. So in Konko Faith, like it uses the Mitama style, like the square, like traditionally speaking. And the reason that is because like Tenchi Kano Kami-sama is like everywhere. They're not in a shrine, like officially speaking. Like Tenchi Kano Kami-sama is not enshrined. They're like all over. So this is just the space to worship, to direct prayers towards, but they're not like dwelling specifically here. They're like all over. So that's why like you usually we use the style that's like you're in the worship hall because you're kind of like closer to kami-sama in that sense, where it's like they're not like enshrined, but you come to the worship hall to pray to them. So it's kind of like evoking that same feeling. So like in the Konko Faith, like we have the altar style is usually like this, where it's like I think this is gonna be reversed, but Kami-sama's altar is on the it should be on the right side. Okay, I think this is right. So it should be on the right side. And the right side is like the higher position, like the higher ranked position in the traditional Japanese culture. Oh, thank you. Sorry. And then the Mitama no Kami-sama altar is on the left side, which is like the lower ranked position, but it doesn't mean like you know what I mean, like king versus servant level. It just means like respect. So for example, like a parent and a child, there's a difference, but they're still close and connected. So the Mitama no Kami-sama is like a showing respectful deference to Tenchika no Kami-sama. So that's why they're like on the left side, which is like slightly lower position, you could say. But the thing is that they're equal, like they're still on the same table. It's like flat on the same table, and then Kami-sama, Mitama-sama beside each other, like here. So like Kami-sama's in the center, but then beside them is Mitama no Kami-sama, so they're like the same. But in other Shinto faiths, the official way usually, I don't know if Kyoha Shinto, like another Kyoha Shinto does it different, or like Izumo faith does it different, or Inari faith does it different. I'm not sure. But I know like in general, like Jinja Shinto Jinja, um, the recommended way is kind of like this. I'll show you. So you have the kamidana on a higher shelf, and then on your like eye level, you have the mitamaya, the soreisha, like the kamidana for your ancestors for the mitama no kami. So it becomes like this. So the same meaning is there, like kami-sama, like the nature, more like distant, you could say, like not your family kami-sama. They're in a higher position because it shows like a reverence, a little bit of a distant reverence, to show respect. But the mitama altar, the mitamaya or soreisha, it's on the bottom, and it's not because like they're like lesser, again, like they're not lesser in value, but it's like parent child, respectful deference, a little bit of a vertical relationship, but also because we're closer, like we're physically closer to this mitama altar. So it's like, again, like reminder of the like familial connection, our close connection, because they're our family members or they're our loved ones. We knew them personally in life. So it's kind of showing that nuance, by having it as a like closer to your eye level rather than above your eye level. So that's the same kind of nuance. Um, but in Konko Faith, it's like this nuance. It's the same kind of thing, but like on the same shelf. Yes, so Vidima says, I also remember Izumi Hasegawa sensei told us that Kamidana and Soreisha just should be separated, not at the same shelf like in Konkokyo. Yes, yes. So like Shusei Nari Shrine and Shusei Nari Shrine of America, they're generally following Jinja Shinto guidelines. So it should be like this is the proper way that they advise, generally speaking. So like the Kamidana should be like usual, like above here, and then the Soreisha or Mitamaya should be like your level. And I think that Konko Faith like does it like, oh wait, sorry, let me read your comment, Avery-san. So Avery-san says, okay, so you need to put a Kamidana on a higher shelf. Hopefully I'm not mistaken. So yes, so if you're worshiping Tenchi Kano no Kami-sama and your ancestors, like they should be on the same shelf, because again, like Kami-sama, Tenchi Kano no Kami-sama is not, they don't need ofuda and they're not enshrined because they're like everywhere. So it makes sense for them to be like closer to us, like the ancestors, because they're literally everywhere, like in the midst of us, right? So it makes more sense to like have them more on the same shelf, more connected, more closer feeling. But if you're like worshiping, let's say like Amaterasu no Kami-sama, or like I don't know Hachima no Kami-sama, like we didn't know them personally in our life, like as a living person, and they're not like our family member. So to show respect, the same way you show respect to like a teacher, or like the emperor or something, someone distant from you, but you respect them. It's And because their ofuda will be in the kamidana, it's respectful to have it higher, as a way to be like, just be humble before them, if that makes sense. So yeah, so it's better to have it a little bit higher than us, because it's like we don't know them that closely, and they have a lot of virtue we should respect, and their ofuda will be in the kamidana, so the ofuda is also something from the shrine, and we should take care of it. Whereas like the mitama altar is more close to us, like we have the reiji to enshrine in the mitama altar from someone's funeral, so that is very intimate and very close, and like a completely different kind of relationship, on the human side, especially, like, person to person. So the nuance is different like that. And again, like Tenchikan no Kami-sama is like a special situation, because they don't have ofuda and they're like everywhere. So that's like the main difference. Um, so just something to keep in mind. Now again, like I don't know every single shrine's tradition or what they do. Like maybe it's different in like another Kyohashinto or another faith. So I'm not speaking for all of them. So if you're not sure, it's always best to ask the shrine or kyokai you get your ofuda from, or the like where you're connected to in terms of faith. So it's always good to ask them and double check on that. So yeah, thank you so much. Yes. Um, oh yes. So I'm glad you started praying towards your great grandfather Avery-san. That's really good. So it's good to have that connection. Even if you don't know them in your life, I still think like great grandparents and even great great grandparents, or like distant cousins. They're still a pretty close connection, compared to like an ancestor from like 800 years ago or something. I think that's pretty close to the family lineage, so it's good to have them in prayers. Yes. Also, wow, the today's live went super fast. So it's already 1 o'clock. I should start to set up the camera for the monthly ceremony today. But if anyone has any more questions or concerns, please let me know. And next live on Tuesday, I will ask more about Yokosuka Shrine's history and try to find some pictures. So I'm excited to show you guys. Okay. Well, I will. Yeah, I know it went by so quick, but thank you so much. I think it was a great. I was happy to talk about everything. So thank you so much. I kind of want to try to go longer, but it's a little bit difficult. But I think an hour is pretty good, just about. So yeah, but thank you so much. Okay, so I will end this live stream, and then I will start the ceremony one soon. But excuse me, hold on. Because I'm gonna try to do a different setup. It might take like a few minutes. Basically, like usually I move this whole table, but I think I'm gonna try to use the stand, and like we usually do it for the monthly ceremony, because it's a little bit better quality. So I will try to do that. But yes, thank you so much, Tifa-san, too. Okay, wait, let me grab the link here. Sorry, still getting used to live stream stuff. Hold on, sorry. The struggle. Okay, wait. Okay, so because I don't want to end the live, because if I do, the chat will disappear. So that's like that. Okay, here we go. So that's the link to the next stream. And oh, I'm so happy. Thank you so much, Avery-san. I'm glad I was able to provide a lot of information, and hopefully it also like inspires to try a new hobby and reach out with new people. And even if you're not good at it, because I'm really bad at Magic the Gathering, but I still try. And you can't get better if you don't fail or make mistakes. You have to make mistakes and fail to learn from them and get better. So for everything and including hobbies, so let's do our best. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Okay, I'll see you soon. Maybe like 5 minutes, and I'll go live. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, see you for now. Okay, bye.